In this video I'm going to teach you how to make the corner to corner crochet stitch, really useful for if you're wanting to make blankets or cushions or even coasters. Hello, my name's Karen Stangram and welcome to Conquer Crochet, the channel for tips, tricks and techniques for conquering your crochet. Everything I talk about in today's video will be linked in the descriptions below. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss a single stitch. So if you're keen to get going with this video, give me a thumbs up and let's do this. So for this tutorial you're going to need your yarn. I'm using a Stylecraft Aran, your crochet hook, and I'm going to use a 5mm crochet hook with this Aran, your scissors for snipping off your ends, and your yarn needle for sewing in your ends. For this tutorial I'm also going to be using my my wool genie, and this middle section here comes off and it swings like a pendulum, so you're able to unravel your yarn without having to ball it up or put it into cakes. You can actually insert it straight through the middle of your skein. I'll put a link in the descriptions below where you can find one of these, but they are an absolute game changer. So throughout this pattern we're going to be using a slip knot, we're going to be chaining, we're going to be doing treble stitches, and we're going to be doing slip knots. I'm going to assume that you know how to do these. If you're not sure and you need some extra help with how to do that, I'll put a link up in the cards so that you can go back and have a look at that playlist, and there is all the things you need to know to do with how to hold your hook, how to hold your yarn, and how to do all the basic stitches. So we're going to start off with a slip knot. You can do this in whichever way you prefer. And to start off the pattern we need to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We're then going to make 1 treble in the 4th chain from the hook, so we don't count the one on the hook. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to do a treble in that stitch. So yarn over, insert into that chain, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So our 3 chain now looks like a treble. It's given us the height for the treble, and we have our first treble stitch here. We're now going to treble in the next chain. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then in the last chain we do the same, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we've made our first square, and corner to corner sort of works with squares, and this is our first corner. So I'm going to turn my work now, and you can see there we have a corner, and that is the first corner of our blanket. Now the next 2 corners, one will be here, the next one will be here. So we're working diagonally throughout this pattern. So we're going to chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to treble into the 4th chain from the hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to treble into here, so yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull back through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we're going to do a treble in the next chain. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull back through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And again in that last chain, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So at the moment you have something that looks like this, and you're probably thinking, hang on, that doesn't look right. But this part here will end up along our edge there. So we need to join this part to this part here, and if you have a look closely at the stitches, you have your 3 chain that you did at the beginning, then your first treble, your second treble and your third treble, and you can see there are gaps between those stitches. So we're going to go into the gap between the last 2 trebles and we're going to do a slip stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull back through, yarn over, not yarn over, and pull through the one on your hook, and you've made a slip stitch. Now to make the next cube or square, I'm going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Now we need to make 3 trebles in the same space that we did our slip stitch. So yarn over, insert into that space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into that same space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And the final one, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you can see we have our corner and we're working diagonally. So this is row 1 that has 1 square, row 2 has 2 squares. So we're going to increase again. So we're going to turn our work and we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to treble in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going into this chain here with a treble. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull back through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the final 2 loops. We do it again in the next chain. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And again in that final chain, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, this is now the wrong way, we need it to go up, so we're going to go into that space created between the second and third trebles that we have in this square here. So that's the chain, first treble, second treble, third treble. So we're going in this gap here with a slip stitch. So we insert, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the loop on our hook. And that's now straightened that up into the right row. Chain 3, and we're going to make 3 trebles into the same chain space. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then the final treble in this part, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, we need to connect this square to this square, so we find that final gap and we insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook to make a slip stitch. We're now going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Make 3 trebles. 1 and 2 and 3. So we now have 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, and in each row you're going to end up with 1 more square. Okay, so in the next row we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll know it's row 4. So row 1 has 1 square, row 2 has 2 squares, row 3 has 3 squares. Okay, and each time we're increasing, we turn our work, we chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We always do the treble into the 4th chain from the hook. We do a treble in the next stitch or the next chain, and a treble in the next chain. This is on every single increase row. We find the gap, we slip stitch, we chain 3, we make 3 trebles in the same gap. You slip stitch into the next one. You chain 3, and we carry on this way until you have the width and the height that you want your work to be. So if you're wanting a big blanket, make sure you go as far along as you need to for the width that you want, and you should have the height, and you'll have a sort of triangle of the size you want. And come back in a few minutes when you've done that, and you can finish the other triangle, and I'll show you how to do the decreases to then start bringing it back to the square on the opposite side. So pause the video now, continue working along until you have your piece as large as you want it, or if you just want to carry on until you've got 6 rows, just so you have a nice sample piece and you can practice, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So if you pause the video now, I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, so I have my 6 high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm on my 6th row here. So I'm going to just finish off my last couple of stitches. So I need to slip stitch into that one. 1, 2, 3. By now I'm assuming you've got pretty good at this and you know exactly what you're doing. If you don't, please feel free to go back and watch the video as many times as you like. Okay, now some people here will go, all right, this is where I finish, but we haven't actually made the square for the 6th one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to make that final square, otherwise it won't be a square. So slip stitch, chain 3, exactly the same as we've done all the way through, and then 3 trebles in the next stitch, sorry, in the same space. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to turn our work, and if we were still increasing, we would do our chain 6, and then we would carry on as we have been. But now I'm going to show you how to do the decreasing. And again, we're going to be working into our spaces here. So we're going to find the first one there, and we're going to insert our hook and make a slip stitch. So insert, yarn over, pull through, pull through the one on your hook. Then we're going to do the same in the next one. So insert, yarn over, pull through the one on your hook, and we're going to do the same in the last one. So yarn over, pull through, pull through the one on your hook. And slip stitches are a great way of traveling in crochet. If you don't want to make any height stitches but you want to move your crochet hook to another point, slip stitches are a really great way of doing that. So now we have our slip stitch here, we can actually carry on in the same way we had been doing by chaining 3 and then 3 trebles in that stitch, so in that space. 2 and 3, and then carrying on as we did before, finding that last space here, insert your hook and slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, 3 trebles, going to the next square, finding that last space, slip stitch into it, chain 3, then 3 trebles, finding the space, insert, make a slip stitch, chain 3, 3 trebles, 1, 2, and 3. Need to join this one onto this square, so insert my hook, chain 3, so slip stitch, chain 3, and 3 trebles, find the space and slip stitch. Now if we were increasing, we would do our chain 3 and 3 trebles, but we're not, we're trying to decrease, so we're trying to straighten off this top edge here. So I'm going to turn my work, and as we did on this side, we're going to do slip stitches into these gaps here. So find the first gap. Now make sure it's not the one between the squares, because that's quite a big gap. We're going into this one here between the trebles on this square. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull through the one on your hook, insert into the next gap and make another slip stitch, and then going into the final gap, make a slip stitch, and then we can turn slightly so that we can now work our next chain 3 and our 3 trebles into the next stitch. So when you're increasing and you're going up, you chain 6 and then you do 3 trebles starting in the 4th chain from the hook. When you're decreasing, you do your slip stitches into the square that you're wanting to move across, and then you carry on with your 3 chain, 3 trebles. Okay, so pause the video again until you get up to having 1 square left in the opposite corner to this one, and I'll show you how we can finish off. Okay, so I'm coming up to my last corner now, so I'm going to do my slip stitches into those spaces. As I say, I'm assuming that you've had lots of practice of doing this now. So with the last corner, I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to do my 3 trebles, 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to find that space on the edge, I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to make a slip stitch, and we don't work our way to the corner, we just pull our yarn through, take our scissors and snip off that end there. So there we have our corner to corner. We've worked our way along. If I was making something this size, I would probably block it just to make sure it was all nice and square, but if you're making a blanket, you wouldn't notice if it wasn't perfectly square. So we started in this corner with 1 square, we then extended up to make 2 squares, extended to do the 3, extended to do the 4, and we worked our way. Oh, I've just spotted a mistake. So here we are. I've done 2 trebles in this one rather than 3. Had I noticed when I was about here, I would have gone back. But given that I have gone all the way to the end, I'm probably not going to go back through and undo that, because life frankly is too short. If you're doing it on a big blanket, you wouldn't notice, and actually that might explain why it's not sitting square as well. It's just pulling in a bit tighter there. Anyway, nobody's perfect. So this is making it in a single colour, and it still looks beautiful. I often do this if I'm doing a pattern on one side. I will do this as the back side of a cushion. So you just got a nice bit of texture there, but just in one colour, so it doesn't take away from the design on the other side. If you were doing a blanket, you could use a variegated yarn. And this one here, I started off in this corner, and there was lots of green, and then it slowly changed into the purples. And depending on the size of your piece and on the yarn that you're using, would depend on when the colours will start to change. And this one was shortly about to go into the blue, but obviously I'd got to my corner there, so that didn't happen. So using a variegated yarn is another nice way of doing it. I've also made one with a slightly chunkier yarn. And this is the James C. Brett Marble Chunky, so I managed to rip the label as I was doing this. I actually used this using shell stitch, which I used then to make a mermaid blanket for my niece. And I ended up having an extra ball left over because I didn't measure it very well when I was looking at the pattern. But this variegated yarn looks quite nice as well. You don't see quite so much of the pattern as you do with the other two, but you do get a nice effect. And when it will go into the sort of the lighter blue, you will see slight variations in the pattern and in the wool. Sorry, not in the pattern, in the yarn. So that's another option that you can have. Or if you want to, you can actually go and change colours. So here I started with the pink. I did 2 rows of pink, I did 2 rows of blue, 2 rows of yellow, 2 rows of blue, and I'm going to do 2 rows of red, pink at the end. So if I'm wanting to change colour, I've got my last square here, I've done my 3. I'm going to do my 3 trebles. I need to join to this square here. And don't worry about this, here's where I've joined 2 pieces of yarn together. I can weave those ends in later. So I've done my slip stitch here. I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to go into these gaps here with my slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through, yarn, pull through the next one. Go into the middle one with a slip stitch. And there I would finish off. I wouldn't work into the last one. I'll take my next piece of yarn, make a slip knot, take my hook out, insert my hook into that gap and reinsert the yarn, the slip knot, pull through and do a slip knot again just to join it up. Then I would chain 3 and carry on with my 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3, and just carry on the pattern as you would normally, doing your 3 chains and then your 3 trebles, 2 and 3, and then insert into that chain, turn my work, do my 3 slip stitches, chain 3, do my 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, slip stitch into that square there, pull through my yarn and then finish off. So that's a quick easy way of doing it. So when you've done your slip stitch into your first 2 gaps, finish off and then join on with the slip stitch with your new colour into that 3rd gap, ready to do the block, and that way then you have a fairly seamless join. Obviously all these ends will be weaved in. So that's one way that you can change colours. You can change colours part way through. I'm sure you've seen lots of nice patterns, and I will do a video on that soon with how to design your own patterns and how to change colours within the crochet blanket. One of my top tips, if you are using little scraps of yarn to make something, when you've balled it up, use a bobby pin and just push it through, and when your ball of yarn rolls, it won't unravel everywhere. Top tip from Conquer Crochet. I really hope you found today's tutorial useful. If there are any information that you need to find out about this video, have a look in the descriptions below, where I post all the links to any freebies and other videos I think you might find useful. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this video, to give me a thumbs up below. Don't forget also to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you've enjoyed it and you'd like to see more of my tutorial videos. There are 2 other videos on screen to help you on your crochet journey, and I will see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hooking!